hot take, even if the 4-year-old with cancer wasn't an American citizen, I don't give a We're gonna go right back into hell. We had our fun. Now we're going right back into hell. I was looking at so far. I've talked about some of the instances of like where this deportation stuff that Trump's been doing is going wrong, because that's what we talked about. One of the reasons I remember when we went like up the street and we filmed some stuff right leading up to the election. We were given like our reasoning for like wanting to be politically engaged and voting and everything. I remember saying that Trump's mass deportation plan is scary because you can racially profile people. Like if you're just walking on the side of the road, you don't know who has their citizenship and who doesn't unless you take time and go through the process. If you try to speed that shit up, you're just going to be snatching people up and throwing them anywhere and XYZ. And unfortunately, that's exactly what's been going on. And I remember a lot of people, the line that like Fox News and the right have been playing is that like, oh, Kilmore Brago Garcia had XYZ. It's not the same thing as you being abducted. Everyone's saying you're next, and we don't see that. And then 3 U.S. children got fucking abducted.
3 U.S. children?
How old were they?
Nuts.
One was 3, one was 7, and one was 2.
Wow.
What the
Nuts.
U.S. citizens.
When they just got picked up from like that? Like how did
They were citizens.
They're all U.S. citizens. Yes. So
it's not like we didn't tell y'all this shit was gonna happen.
Yeah. So it's terrifying, and I remember seeing this, and it genuinely like made me sick to my stomach because I'm like, these are children we're talking about, and we're not even gonna get into everything with it yet. So this is according to an article in Politico. So a U.S. district judge, Terry Doughty, who's a Trump appointee, by the way, was appointed by Donald Trump, said that there's a child identified in court papers by the initials VML, and they appear to have been released in Honduras earlier Friday, along with her Honduran-born mother and sister who had been detained by immigration officials earlier in the week. So the Trump administration, they had said that they said in court that the mother told ICE officials that she wished to take her child with her, right? But as we'll go on through here, the issue is that it seems as though they did not have contact with like lawyers. They got like taken up, they got brought to somewhere in Louisiana, and then like the next day were shipped to Honduras, and they barely even had time to like talk to their father or her husband in this instance or whatever. And we'll get into like the discrepancies with that. So it's a terrifying situation. ICE provided as evidence that the mom wanted the daughter to come with a 1-page note that they say was written by her in Spanish, and it said that she gave consent for her to be deported with her. And it says the note says, "I will take my daughter, her name, with me to Honduras," and then it has the date and time with the mother's name, which.
No,
that doesn't sound like. Hey, please deport me, please.
That doesn't sound like.
That doesn't sound like I'm willingly giving up. That sounds like someone was like, yeah, write this down real quick.
Yeah. Is that what we're doing now? Like, are we just like? Yeah. Can I just tell a nigga to write down some shit on a piece of paper and it's law now?
So this is what
are we talking about?
Yeah, so that's what ICE provided as the fucking evidence, and then the judge said the government contends that this is all okay because the mother wishes that the child be deported with her, but the court doesn't know that because there was no trial. We have not had a trial to determine the validity of this note. We have not had a trial to determine exactly what the process is moving forward, and this judge is appointed by Trump. And was like, we need to have a trial to determine this. So he says he's pretty sure that a U.S. citizen has just been deported without no meaningful process. And this is a 2-year-old.
U.S. citizens.
Yes, U.S. citizen. She is born in, I believe it's a girl. She's born in Louisiana.
What it is, it's that same shit where he was like trying to take people's like birthright citizenship, and then it got blocked, and then they just do the shit.
Yeah, you know what?
They just did the shit.
Yeah. The whole thing itself is sick, but like I'm just imagining kind of like before the election of like those people like, damn, I don't want Trump to be in office because like, man, we could possibly get deported, and then like they actually get like deported.
I know like 3 people. That like non-disclosed, you know what I mean, people that voted for Trump and that are like Hispanic and like are like there are people within their like group that are illegal and they voted for Trump, and they were trying to tell me that like there's reasons for. I'm like, you're like,
Misinformed.
you're like,
misinformed, bro.
something's
You're done.
wrong
That's,
with
that's
you,
the thing
man.
that pisses me off because it's like, bro, we've been trying to tell y'all before the election and during the election, this nigga is going to deport a whole bunch of people and citizens
I'm
are going
trying
to
to
get caught
tell
up in this
Yes,
shit.
and
the thing too, it's like you can tell these niggas that shit and they'll be like, oh, well, I mean, he's just going to get rid of the illegals and the criminals and shit. I'm like, no,
Yeah,
no, you're not listening.
See, the problem is, okay,
Jesus,
so what motherfuckers don't understand when people say due process, that's one of your rights that you have. I believe it's a 6th Amendment, but I could be wrong about that. Do not fry me. That like in the Bill of Rights and the Constitution that says everyone has a right to due process, everyone in the jurisdiction of the United States, meaning illegal or undocumented immigrants who live here too, because you still have to engage with the law system of the country that you're in. So if you're committing a crime, there's only one way to know whether or not you've committed a crime, is if you bring the charges and then you evaluate the evidence and find out if you did it. That is not a principle that stops at undocumented people. That means that if the government accuses anybody of committing a crime, they have to prove that you did it and before you can face any punishment. The reason why American citizens are now at risk is because if they say you did something and then they scoop you up and put you in Honduras before you get to prove that you didn't do it, that means that they could accuse you of anything.
Anything.
Yeah.
Literally.
They could literally
Anything
do
goes.
And they don't have to prove it. If
Meanwhile,
And they
our
can use-
fucking president,
And they can use, exactly.
Mind
And
you,
they
they proved it with him.
they
and they-
proved it with our
Exactly.
president for 37, what is it, 37
Like 37 counts or some shit.
37 counts.
niggas still in the office though.
Niggas still chilling.
I'm be so real, like, because you just brought up the whole thing of like the people you know voted for Trump. Just know, like, this is on you completely. Like, you need to
crazy.
feel that guilt because you're the ones who just sent these kids away.
Yep.
Real shit.
And it gets worse. So what happened was the girl with the initials VML, who's the 2-year-old, her father had been attempting to contact her mother to discuss plans with their child, like for their child with ICE, because like they got arrested and they're like, all right, what are we gonna do? Because the child's born here. I'm pretty sure the dad is a citizen or is like a legal resident here. So they're like, what do we do? But ICE officials denied him the chance to have a substantive phone call, according to his lawyers. They said ICE allowed the two to speak for about 1 minute on Tuesday while the mother was in ICE custody, but they were unable to make any meaningful decisions about their child. And then the judge,
I think that's where that note came from then.
yep, and then the judge said that he tried to investigate it himself. He said he tried to investigate the emergency matter himself on Friday, seeking to get the girl's mother on the phone to determine whether ICE representation about her desire to bring her with her to Honduras was true. And the Trump administration lawyers called the judge back on Friday afternoon and said the phone call with the mom would not be possible because she had been released in Honduras. So
These
the
niggas are
district
horrible.
judge,
They
so
set it
the
up from the
U.S.
start,
district
bro.
court judge who's appointed by Donald Trump was like, okay, this American citizen might have got deported with no fucking process. Let me try to find out if this letter that y'all are sending me as evidence is real. And they didn't get back to him until the day after, while they were already dropped off in Honduras. Meaning there is a woman and a 2-year-old baby who's an American citizen somewhere in Honduras right now, despite no criminal charges. And I don't remember whether or not it was her or the next instance I'm going to talk about where one of them was a part of like their immigration proceedings and had received multiple stays of deportation because she was involved as being a victim of like sex trafficking or whatever. And they were investigating the entire situation. And that's why like they're going through her thing, like keeping her here or whatever and going through her process. She's going through a legal
That's so
process
terrible,
that was
bro.
established by the United States. And they interrupted it. They were at a routine check-in that they're supposed to go into, which I'll get into the details of that. And then they deported her and her little girl, who's an American citizen.
I don't know why people thought you could like regulate this process or like think this could stay.
When someone
you
says
just
the
cannot
word
do it, bro.
mass deportation, that's why every alarm bell should be ringing in your head. Because you're like, what do you mean mass deportation? How exactly are you going to do this? How are you going to ensure that you get the right people? How are you going to ensure that 2-year-olds who are American citizens aren't being fucking sent to random countries?
And you not only that, you see, bro.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was reading. You see, like it's crazy how like people actually thought you could regulate this because like look how it is now. They're like loosely doing this shit.
Yeah.
They just sent them off with no trial, and now they can't have no phone call or anything. They're just stuck there.
That's terrible, bro.
So that's like the first instance. We already seen them starting to target like judges. There was a judge in Wisconsin that got like arrested because they said that they were shielding an immigrant or something. I haven't even like looked into fully everything about it, but it's bullshit again, because the only thing that is stopping the Trump administration right now from doing everything is these judges who are trying to like conduct investigations or trying to pause all this shit or whatever, because he's just running through rights that are been established. But you niggas don't give a fuck. So in response to that, another thing happened. It was an article in NBC that I was reading. Another mother wasn't allowed to speak with attorneys or family members before she was deported, and accompanied by her U.S.-born child, again, her children. This was the 4-year-old and I believe the 7-year-old. And they said even though ICE knew and received word in advance that the 4-year-old has stage 4 cancer.
I saw that shit. Imagine like, gang, imagine coming here for a better life, for the American dream, or whatever the fuck they paint it to be, right? And you get here, you go through all of the trouble to get here. Then you finally have kids here so they can like earn their birthright citizenship, and that happens. The next year or 2 years or 4 years.
And let's think about it, right? Because
all
of
of
these,
the kid was 4 with cancer, right? That
yes.
means you had that baby around like Biden administration, like the end of Trump going into Biden administration.
And let's talk about it, because people scapegoat and they lie and they mislead so much about immigration. What happens is, even if somebody crosses the border illegally, right? The thing is, America has agreed to international law that says that you can do asylum claims, which means that if you're fleeing a country from like normally is going to be Central or Southern America, which normally that means that our CIA did something to fuck up their government, which has probably led to the instability that caused them to flee here. The cartel and everything. Usually what happens is, if you're fleeing violence in a given country, say bombs started falling in America and niggas wanted to go to Canada, we should be able to, according to international law, run across the Canadian border, go to a border checkpoint and declare asylum. And then you have to establish in the Canadian law system that you have reasonable like fear of going back home, and they can keep you there while they like determine that. And if they determine that, then you stay there. So these people were going through that process, and it was an established process because it said the Washington Post spoke to lawyers for both the families, and both the families were taken into custody while attending routine check-ins in New Orleans as a part of the Intensive Supervision Appearance Program, which allows individuals to remain in their communities while undergoing immigration proceedings. So you're going through the legal process. You're in the middle of immigration proceedings. They tell you to bring your kid, the kid that they know has cancer, with you to the immigration proceedings, and then they lock you up and then they deport you.
That's fucking terrible. These people are wicked.
Yep. And
these people are gonna go to hell.
In the case of the mom who had the son, I believe, with stage 4 cancer, they said she did not sign anything. She did not consent to any of this. This, according to her lawyer, she very much wanted to make other plans for her 2 citizen children, especially because her 4-year-old was actively getting cancer treatment here in the United States. The lawyer said, not only did they deport this family against the mother's wishes, they were deported without the child's medication.
Oh, so they're about to kill a
4-year-old.
They're about to kill a 4-year-old. Because if you think a 4-year-old is going to live in that
American,
and then you know what, bro? And then you have these motherfuckers will sit there, look you dead in your fucking face, Saquon Barkley, and say the bullshit that they we got fire for y'all. Represents.
I gotta hear about
fire for that.
All right, no, we're not even there. That just got me so tight, though.
Because
you just killed that fucking child.
The thing that pisses me off is that, and I have it written here, we have American children we're talking about now. You niggas will do anything to say that you're protecting the kids and never actually protect the kids.
Abortion, all of that shit. You're sitting here saying all of that shit.
Y'all pro-life, right?
Let's
deport a 4-year-old with stage 4.
They will sit, and then they'll sit there, bro. They will sit there and still spew the same bullshit.
That's what's so
time.
disheartening, bro. Because this case is written like literally in our faces, dead wrong.
There is no other way to interpret what's going on
at all, bro. A 4-year-old with cancer in some dumb.
I remember I was speaking on this shit when I first started. When we were first talking about it on my stream. And I remember I was speaking on shit, and these dumb fucks are in the chat. Not everybody, because I love my chat, but it was like a random 2 or 3 people coming in chat talking about, why do you care so much?
Why do we care?
Why do you care?
You're telling me you can read that and not care?
Imagine if that's your child or cousin or friend or anything. They just killed this fucking child.
They just did.
With cancer.
Mind you,
Like,
we're talking
wicked
about,
ass
and then they will go,
fucking-
and then they will go on the news, and fucking Caroline Levitt will stand on that fucking stage
And
will sit there and be like,
Bullshit.
"We're just removing threats to the community, dangers to the community." He's 4, and he has cancer.
Why all of these
Children are either toddlers, these are
in the
infants.
middle of
Why all of these
nowhere.
fucks are in the White House bullshitting, insider trading, bullshitting. All of them. All of them. For bread. They're doing this for fucking bread.
Yes.
For paper.
We're talking about removing threats. We're talking about pregnant women. Both, I believe, both or one of those 2 women are pregnant currently. Secondly, we're talking about threats. We're talking about women and children.
For the people
Immigrants
at home,
that are U.S.
undocumented,
For the
undocumented immigrants as a whole, still, and they will not be able to find you anything that will prove me wrong about it, still commit less crime than the native-born population. And you're saying we're removing dangers and threats. We're just getting all these people out, and these are women and children.
More of
And the
these
whole
fucks
bro,
are in the office that don't pay taxes than
Y'all have a longer rap
Bro, I'm
sheet
being
than
honest,
anyone.
bro. I'm being so real. If
This
you're
nigga
sitting
got
here now-
37 fucking counts, and they're deporting children, bro. They're deporting children with cancer. This nigga in the office is a convicted fucking civil case rapist, nigga. The fuck are we talking about?
Held liable.
and for the
Held
people,
liable
for the
for
people
it.
at home, right? I just want to ask you just one question, and I want y'all to put it down
high.
in the comments. Nah, bro,
Yeah, bro.
It's needed,
Because
bro.
what the
I'm
fuck?
so high.
Bro, we
It's
talking about a
needed.
4-year-old?
Okay, so for the people at home, I want y'all to put down in the comments what is threatening about a 4-year-old with cancer.
It's racism.
Answer the
Even
question.
if
so
a
sad,
it's
hey,
just
shocker,
I don't give a fuck, that nigga got a switch on him.
shocker, hot take. Even if the 4-year-old with cancer wasn't an American citizen, I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck if he has a switch on him. If it was a white child, they'd never think to
They
do
never
no
do
shit
no
like
shit like
that.
that. He's a US citizen that
If it
follows
was a
every
white
rule.
child, they'd have fucking celebrities coming to the nigga and oh hey man, how you doing? Signing shit. They would never treat no nigga like that or no white person.
And
like
you want to
that,
know why
ever.
you want to know why they did it? Is because they got backlash for the family separation shit, the draconian shit they were doing at the border where they were separating children from their families or whatever.
So they started just doing
So they said, we're just
fucking
send
on.
them.
Are you
like what
Bro,
the fuck
and then
is that?
the
This
niggas
shit
be
is
like,
crazy.
they be like, oh, we need to get the criminals out. Bro, you're being racist.
That's
bro.
so sad,
You're just genuinely being racist.
If you cared about
Like, you
getting the
just-
criminals out, Donald
Then
Trump
you'd get
wouldn't
Donald
be
Trump. He would've
president.
been gone already.
Bro.
You're being like that's
what are we
dead.
talking
That's
about?
dead. The hypocrisy
And you got
of
niggas-
it. And you're dead just racist.
And you want to know what's so funny? You want to know what's so funny about it is that why do we care? Why do we care? The administration is not stopping. We have United States citizens who are children getting caught up in this. And I just read that Trump signed an executive order the other day that is going to target mainly blue states, but states that have sanctuary cities, which means that the city decides not to be super cooperative with federal immigration enforcement because that's their right under the 10th Amendment, because it's not specified in the Constitution, which means that the states have that jurisdiction. That's supported by a lot of case law. It's like established you can do sanctuary cities. Trump signed an executive order, and they said cities and states that find themselves on the Trump administration's list of sanctuary jurisdictions could face a withdrawal of federal funding, illegal, as well as criminal and civil rights lawsuits if they continue to resist the Trump immigration agenda. They could even find themselves charged with violating the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act,
Nigga, what?
aka
And get a RICO?
They're trying to throw RICOs
what?
at states that are exercising their constitutional right to not comply or share a bunch of information with federal
What is
immigration
wrong with
officials.
niggas, bro?
And they're throwing RICO.
Blatantly
What is wrong with
unconstitutional.
people?
I so wish-
Y'all don't care. The law and order, motherfuckers,
matter.
do not give a
I
fuck.
so wish I
There
could
is
say
no
what I
law,
want to
bro.
on this podcast. I so wish I could say what
Like
I want to on this podcast.
the thing that pisses me off about this whole situation is
Barbecue.
because let's take
Pedicure, manicure.
let's take a step. We are seeing a drastic overreach of everything, ignoring the Constitution, violating people's rights, sending United States citizens who are fucking children with cancer to foreign gulags. We are this is not a normal time period. I just want to categorically say, before we transition into the doom of the day and get into how politics influences everything, including sports, I want to categorically state that if you, as any politician or as a Democrat, are currently juggling between whether or not we should be defending the people who are getting their rights violated or saying, nah, that's optics, we defending that, we should just talk about these poll numbers, this tax policy. Kindly fuck off.
No,
You
Kindly fuck
mad
off.
about it, gang?
Kindly fuck
What's
off.
so fucked up about this, right, is like we've seen multiple cases where niggas are unrightfully deported. You see people with influence and millionaires and billionaires only talked about and criticized Trump when their money was down.
Yes.
They didn't say anything about these kids being gone, a 4-year-old with cancer being gone. No, you only talked about
Fuck all
Dave
these
Portnoy.
niggas.
You only talked about the
Fuck
shit
all
when
these
your
niggas.
millions
Yep.
were done. Done.
Fuck
Dave
all
Portnoy.
That's the only thing they give a fuck about.
Yep.
Real spit.
It's
Only thing they
nuts.
give a fuck about, and we're sitting. That's what a lot of consultants and shit in the Democratic Party are doing too right now, where they're like, yeah, this optically, Kilmar had something on his record where he might have
Nigga, fuck you.
So we shouldn't talk about the fact that we just violated a constitutional principle that we had for 200 fucking
Talk
years.
about
Joe Rogan
optics.
bald head ass had this nigga on the fucking podcast. You sitting there caking up with
Taking
the
up,
nigga.
not challenging the nigga on
Caking up with the
anything.
nigga.
Dana White.
And then you sit here, I just, these immigrants, they're getting. That's what we fucking
That's what we
told
said,
you.
bro.
We told
That's
you it
what
was
we
gonna fucking
said.
happen.
Dana White,
Bald ass nigga.
I'm gonna support Trump through matter what, because he helps with UFC. Okay, yeah, he helps with UFC, so you're gonna help get fucking kids deported.
You profit off of
You gonna-
fighters
you gonna
from
help
the
that
very
nigga,
same
man.
countries that are current.
You're dumb.
Bald
One of
ass
your
nigga.
fighters to get
Those places.
racially profiled outside right now.
You talk about how brave your fighters are, nigga. They're from those places, and they're probably not even U.S. citizens for real. Dumbasses.
Wow.
Bro.
So we see this. We see this shit.
I'm
This
lost
is
in
why
this
people
water.
are so done with all this like means testing. Oh, let's see whether or not the message tests out. No, stand on the shit that's right, because these people, there's children in a country that they're not from
With cancer,
with cancer not getting treatment because
Cancer. Right?
no medicine.
because of
There
these
is no
motherfuckers.
law.
I seen. I'll wrap up with this. I seen JB Pritzker did a very good thing the other day where he was basically coming out and going like scorched earth against motherfuckers, the Democrats who don't want to do shit right now, and the people who've kind of sat there and watched
Need to run
Republicans
for a
go
bigger
further.
office.
He
Fuck
might
the
be
bullshit,
teeing
gang.
up for it. He might be teeing up for it.
he
So,
needs
to
it makes
go.
me-
There's a lot
and
of
mind
niggas
you,
that,
he's
bro.
a billionaire.
And come to the gym.
Mind you, he's a fucking billionaire. Why is there only one billionaire that's seen? Yeah, I'm gonna use my resources for this way. Thank you for watching this long. If you haven't already, subscribe. What are you doing?
What is you doing?
What are you doing? You think we just sitting here doing it for nothing?
You think you're gonna sit here and not do
need
shit?
to
Like,
eat.
hear this shit.
Look at that. I know you're not subscribed. Click it.
Cool.